I really just started thinking more and more about how insane it is that we're basically, as human beings, we play follow the leader. But there's no leader. We're all pretending that we know what life is all about, where life is going, where this country's going, and where the war is going. We all want to pretend that we know this is a great candidate or this is a great direction for our country. But the reality is we know so little, it's shocking. Life is all about, but there's no leader. How do we not know that there are an infinite amount of things happening around us all the time that we do not have the senses for? There's all sorts of evidence in other animals and other life forms that they don't have the sense to detect us. Plants don't seem to me to be able to detect the fact that we're going to chop them down. How about ants? You ever wave your hand over a bunch of ants? They have no fucking idea you're even there. You know, until you step on them, they have no idea you're even there. You know, how do we not know that we're just like that? That there's something around us all the time that we just can't detect.
I think that our main problem as human beings is that we are in a stage of evolution, and we're in an adolescent stage, and we are certainly passing where we used to be, and our potential for evolving above the basic fight or flight instincts, and our potential for evolving above just animal brutality and anger and jealousy and all these things that we think that we need in order to compete and survive. It's like we have this potential. Goes out in ripples, because the people that you affect, they affect other people as well. And the more positive you spread out, literally you can change your world. You can change the world of the people that you come in contact with. Change your world.
Physically, how we have developed and evolved, we haven't evolved that much over the last, few thousand years, but technology has just gone through the roof. It's gotten to a crazy place where we have this unbelievable control over our environment, the ability to construct giant buildings and send photos through the air. I mean, it's a very, very heady thing, and I think it would take an incredibly enlightened society just to deal with what we're capable of right now. Never mind what's coming in the future as this, exponentially increasing technology, the advancement, the innovation. It's all coming at this incredibly rapid pace. And, physically, we're the same. Emotionally, we're still tribal monkeys.
A lot of scientists believe we won't get to a type 1 society, meaning a society that survives and gets off planet, that we're probably going to destroy ourselves.
They say that is the #1 way that they can show that there is some sort of a connection between human beings telepathically, is the ability to recognize when someone's staring at you. They've done scientific studies on that, and they've proven beyond a shadow.
Look, 100% of the time when I'm in a restaurant and I feel somebody staring at me, especially if it's with bad intent, some redneck doesn't like me or something, I'll feel it and I'll turn around and they'll be going, and they'll go.
Yeah, that's a weird thing, isn't it? It's a weird thing that we can detect that. And I think that is just, look, at one point in time, we couldn't communicate it. But if you believe in evolution, you have to believe that at one point in time, we were monkeys that just grunted and made noises and swung from trees. And then something happened where we went from that to where we are now, where we figured out not just one, but dozens and dozens of systems of communication all over the world, where we write little symbols that mean certain things, and we can say noises with our mouth, and we understand what we're trying to say because of that. I mean, that alone, that incredible ability to communicate. Can't help it. We have this incredible desire to change things. Like Yellowstone. They've just figured out, within the last decade, that Yellowstone is this gigantic caldera volcano that's 600 kilometers across. And every time it's like a continent killer. It blows every 600,000 to 800,000 years, and it kills everything on the continent. And it happened 600,000 years ago. Well, it's like a gigantic game of musical chairs. It's like we hope that we are not going to be here when the music stops. I think that life on Earth is very much like an anthill in a field. You know, the ants in that anthill, they have known nothing other than that anthill. They've only been alive for a couple weeks. As long as they've been alive, that anthill's been there. That anthill sustains them all, and they think this is just how it always is. And then some little kid walks by, sees that anthill, and stomps on it. One day, just out of the blue. And everything changes forever. And the ants never saw it coming. They never knew it was going to happen. They never would have, if they had consciousness, they never would have imagined it. Well, there's so many things that can happen to stomp our anthill. There's meteors, there's earthquakes, there's caldera volcanoes, the gigantic super volcano that is Yellowstone Park. I mean,
did you know Germany has a super caldera? Yeah, they're all over the planet.
I'm sure. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you look at mountains, I mean, where did those mountains come from? They came from activity. You know, they raise up, and it just takes a long-ass time. We're only here on this planet for a blip.
You wanted to look at the one huge problem that we have. It's babies and children growing up and becoming shitty human beings because there's no love, because there's not getting any help. And we're not putting money in that at all. The disproportionate amount of money we put in the military budget and compared to how we treat children in this country and raise kids and work on terrible communities and work on educating and getting people out of bad situations. And you say, oh, well, you know, they're going to figure it out on their own. You don't have a fucking clue what kind of a disproportionate life you would be living if you were born in the ghetto. There's people living in ways that you can't even wrap your fucking head around, and there's not much ways out of there. You're there and you grow up.
Baltimore is a classic example.
How about fucking Detroit, where 50% of the people can't read?
It's unbelievable.
You can't say that that's an even playing field, and you can't say that for the human race that doesn't need to be addressed and helped.
Absolutely.
And it's not about getting welfare mothers money so they can keep shitting out kids. It's about helping the fucking kids. The welfare mother might already be fucked. Her programming might already be jacked. She might already be on some downward, you know, addiction spiral. Who knows? But you can help that kid.
But you know,
is the problem. The proportion is tiny. Compared to the problem, it's tiny. The salaries that teachers get is unlivable. And that is a really important part of being a human being. If you look back on your teachers that you had and how much they influenced you and how much power they have over you, this is the person that stands in front of the class and tells you how the fucking world works. An even trickier element, there's this fucking weird escape clause where you can become famous for nothing and then you get millions.
There's no lead.
We're probably going to destroy ourselves.